opportunity to see these young talents, and these are two real talents getting into the ring.
Take a look at the tail of the tape. You see Bрэd Solomon is an inch taller. The weight's the same. He's 9 years older than Pономарев. The reach is also the same. They're both coming off wins. Solomon had a unanimous decision over Ray Serrano in Brooklyn, New York in October. And in November, Pономарев had a majority decision over Ramses Agaton. Both of these guys are undefeated. You take a look, no standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule. A fighter cannot be saved with the bell in any round. Only the referee can stop the fight at the accidental foul. We go to the scorecards after 4 rounds. All right, here we go. Here's Lupe Contreras.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to welcome you to the biggest stage in professional boxing, the MGM Grand Garden Arena, Las Vegas. It is Pacquiao Bradley 3, proudly presented to you by Hall of Fame boxing promoter Bob Arum's Top Rank Incorporated in association with MP Promotions. La Cerveza Tecate, Born Bold, the new movie Hands of Stone. The true story of Roberto Duran, starring Edgar Ramirez, Robert De Niro, as well as Usher Raymond in theaters this August, Breckenridge Distillery. And of course, our host, the MGM Grand Las Vegas. These bouts are being sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. Chairman is Anthony Marnell III. Commissioners are Francisco Aguilar, Skip Avancino, Pat Lundvall, and Mishan Martin. Our executive director is Bob Bennett. Our timekeepers are Steve Esposito along with Ernie Howdigi. And our medical team at ringside, should they be needed, are Doctors Damon Zavala, Dr. Al Campana, Dr. James Game, and Dr. Vicky Mazarana. Ladies and gentlemen, we begin this evening with a duel of 2 undefeated fighters at stake. Their undefeated records as well as the NABF welterweight title. Scheduled for a distance of 10 rounds or less. Supervisor is Dwayne Ford. The 3 judges are Lisa Jampa, Ricardo Ocasio, and Don Trella. The man in charge, referee Benji Esteves. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner. He enters the ring wearing red, white, blue, and silver, and he weighed in at the official 147-pound limit. He enters the ring, an undefeated pro with 29 victories. 13 of those victories coming by way of KO. Defending his NABF welterweight title from Minsk, Russia, Konstantin Ponomarev. Across the ring in the red corner, he steps in wearing black with white trim. He weighed in at an identical 147 pounds. He too enters the ring an undefeated pro with 26 victories. 9 of those victories coming by way of KO. From Lafayette, Louisiana, Bрэd King Solomon.
So we're just about set to go as Benji Esteves moves the fighters in. Bрэd Solomon had an extensive amateur career, 3-time National Golden Gloves champion, won the welterweight title in 05 and the light welterweight title in 06 and 07. Turned pro in 2008 with a unanimous decision win over Miguel Alfaro in Atlanta, Georgia, and he's won 26 fights since then. Pономарев is the reigning NABF champ. He had a 100-fight amateur career. He's a top-ranked prospect. We'll see how he does. Decked out in the white shoes is Pономарев to the left of your screen, and that's Bрэd Solomon. This is a big step up for Bрэd to get an opportunity to fight here in Las Vegas. He's quite an interesting kid, and here's how we go. He's won 5 of his last 6 fights, but they've all gone the distance. Pономарев probably has a little bit more power, Rich, as we watch them here in the early goings.
Yes, and although, basically Pономарев will get by on his outstanding skills, his boxing ability. As you can see, he's a pretty rangy guy in there. He's got long arms. Christina Poncher in her opening comments mentioned this is a stacked card. When would you ever think that at 3 o'clock in the afternoon you'd be seeing a guy that's 29-0 taking on a guy 26-0?
Well,
unbelievable.
It is a stacked card, that's for sure. So Solomon now is tasting the jab of Pономарев. Pономarев a little bit more aggressive. He's a solid fighter. He has very good skills, natural quickness, and he throws a lot of punches, very, very busy. And Bрэd Solomon's going to figure out a way to get to him. They both have the 72-inch reach wingspan, so it shouldn't really, really affect either guy in terms of that. But Pономарев is a guy that likes to throw a lot more punches, and this is kind of a big step up, as I mentioned, for Brad Solomon coming this way. Along the way, with his 26 straight wins, Brad Solomon in the black trunks has won the 26 straight, and he won some minor titles. In 2010, he won the Florida State 147-pound title. In 2010 as well, he won the WBA International and won the WBC Latino welterweight title, and that was stopping Wilfredo Negron.
Well, he beat Hopkins along the way. Of course, Demetrius.
Right.
not Bernard.
Right.
I was really impressed, Colonel. I have to tell you, last year with Ponomarev's victory over Mikhail Zuski, I mean, he just busted him up. He just took him to school, and it was an excellent win for him in that regard. Fighting a guy who at that time was also 26-0, the way that Solomon is here tonight. And, Zuski had been really groomed for some very big things and had been very impressive on a lot of these top-ranked undercards when we saw him. But Pономарев was an overwhelming, a decisive victory in that one.
Well, that's top-ranked boxing. They'll put the best in with the best to see, who's going to rise to the occasion. And the kid from Trois-Rivières in Canada, Zuski couldn't hold up to him. And, like you said, Richard, a nice victory for him. So we're just in round number 1 here with about 24 seconds to go. This is scheduled for 10 rounds. It's the NABF Welterweight Championship. What does that mean? Well, it's in the WBC, so you move up in the rankings when you hold this title, and that's what it's all about.
10 seconds.
There's the bell ending the first round. I thought that Pономarев was busier, landed more punches. I'm giving him the round. How about yourself?
Yeah, I thought he not overwhelmed, but I thought overall had a nice decisive edge in the round. As we take a look at Solomon in his corner.
Quincy Solomon, Aaron Navarro, and Mike Zeno. And across the way, our old friend Abel Sanchez with Ben Lira, and Leo Kulinski is his manager also there.
Nice to see Abel. I saw Abel toil in the trenches for many, many years, Colonel. And, of course, his work with Gennady Golovkin has been so fantastic that he's finally gotten a lot of attention toward his own outstanding skills as a trainer and conditioner.
Well, he's got that gym up there in Big Bear. Not only is he a terrific trainer, but he's one of the really, really good guys in boxing.
Yes, he is. Good
friend of both of ours. Abel Sanchez. Okay, this is round number 2. We're at the MGM Grand Garden Arena on the night of the Pacquiao Bradley 3.
I think what Pономarев is going to really try to get his jab to work to good effect here in this round. See if because everything with him really is based on that jab. He uses it a lot.
And he you pointed out, and it's a piston-like jab. There's a lot of power in that jab. He has a fairly wide stance, but when he gets ready to throw his jab, his legs come together and he drives off that hind foot, and he really gets power in the jab. He's not jabbing off the front foot too much.
Yeah, when he fought Zuski, he used that to such good effect in that fight that he completely puff up the face of Zuski, who looked rather a mess by the end of the 10 rounds of that fight.
Solomon is already tired of eating that jab of Pономarев, so he'd like to kind of work inside, but he's got to get his jab pumping to work his way in there. Overhand right, then you see Solomon feint a little bit.
Let him go, Brad. Let him go.
Zuski has had, Pономарев has had one fight since that Zuski fight. He fought Ramses Agatos and was not quite as impressive as he was against Zuski. He won a majority decision in that fight. He did have a habit, in his earlier fights, Colonel, of switching up right to left incessantly, almost sometimes in almost every round, but he has put that away.
Yeah, and I'm glad because unless you train that way all the time, it's just never good to be switching back and forth. And he's settled down into a nice orthodox fighter. See Solomon hanging that hand down a little bit. trying to reach to get the left hand to the body of Pономarев, anything to keep him off it. Pономarев got a nice body shot in there too, Rich.
Well, he's got a good arsenal. What he doesn't have is one-punch power. And he's not like a lot of these other Eastern European fighters who have come along in the last 3-4 years, like Golovkin and Kovalev and Provodnikov, who could be big punchers. So he has to get by and really out-hustling, and he's hustling in there now.
Yes, he is. He's been working on delivering punches with the proper technique and balance to try to increase his power. They're not aware of it, but it seems like it's very hard to teach power. You can improve technique, but the power is either there or it's not. And so he has to do it by hustling, as Rich said, and of course the very, very powerful jab that he has. And here he's controlling on the inside, too. It's a whole different kettle of fish than what Solomon's seen in his career so far. But he's testing himself, too. This is a big deal coming from Lafayette, Louisiana to Las Vegas to fight, a Russian kid. And that, to me, is another Pономарев round.
It's your fault, not his. Get your hand out of there. This man's getting tired. You just keep pressure on him. When you're in front of him, don't just stop your legs. Move forward.
Across the way to Solomon now.
He's shooting the jail. Off the rope. Boom. Looking for that one shot. But do not have your arms here. You pull your arms back. It's your fault, not his. You're holding.
All right, so we move to round number 3 here. Again, this is scheduled for 10. At stake, the NABF Welterweight Championship, the 147-pound division. The Konstantin Ponomarev is the reigning NABF champ. And fighting this undefeated fighter, he wants to move up in the rankings.
And I know why you said it's a step up for Solomon. I think this is it's actually also a nice little test for Pономarев, because Solomon has what I would consider kind of an odd style. He has his arms kind of far apart. Doesn't hold a traditional. You see an odd-looking punch there. He comes from different angles. He doesn't do things completely orthodox, even though he's a right-handed fighter. You would call that orthodox, but he doesn't do things. Look at that wide stance that he has. Arms spread apart, kind of moves, gives you some different angles, and an unusual style. And it's great for a younger fighter like Pономarев to have to face. He may not look great against him, because that's what happens sometimes when you get that guy with an unusual, awkward style in there.
All points well taken, Rich. And Solomon as well. The book on him is, he's a solid boxer. He's got a good jab, but we haven't seen a lot of his jab tonight. He's got solid hooks to the body, and he lacks one-punch KO power as well. So, he gets a punch through here and there, but Pономarев is just busier right now. And he's on his way midway through this third round of doing mostly what he's done in the first couple of rounds, even though Solomon has tried to pick up the pace a little bit from his standpoint in this third round.
I agree. I think Solomon is trying to counterpunch some, get a little busier in this round himself.
Oh, a straight right hand caught him right on the button off the right hand of Pономarев. And it set his, and I know he felt that right down on his knees, the way his legs set down. Pономarев works downstairs.
Let him go, let him go.
Benji Estevez, a very good referee, wanted to say something about a semi-low blow, but the action was too good and he didn't want to interfere with it. That's a sign of a terrific referee, which Benji has been for years.
I can remember a few years ago when people questioned whether Benji, because he is short in stature, whether he'd be able to handle guys who were middleweights, light heavyweights, and heavyweights. But he's put all of that talk to bed.
Yeah,
he's been there with heavyweight fights, and he does a very good job.
He does a terrific job. Was hooked it through that time by Solomon, one of his better punches of the fight. But
Stop at the bell.
he took that big right hand down the middle earlier in the round. Therefore, I'm going to give Ponomarev that round, because it took Solomon about 15, 20 seconds, maybe 30 seconds to get back in the round, because he felt that right hand. But that's a sign of a guy with a decent chin, but not enough to win the round.
Waiting to see who's first. Give me a fake and give me a jab here, give me a right
I have
hand
it
here.
scored unofficially 30-27 after 3. Lisa Giampa, Richard Ocasio, and Don Trella are the official judges.
Solomon had to eat one in this round. It kind of threw him off for the rest of the round. You can see that overhand right came over. Beautiful straight right hand by Ponomarev. Solomon had to gather himself after that, and he did land a nice left to start off a combination. The right not as effective, but he was able to kind of suck it up, although I felt he was still being effective even in the last few seconds of the round.
Round number 4 coming up. Brad Solomon, Konstantin Ponomarev. I've given Ponomarev the first 3 rounds, mostly based on throwing more punches and landing more, and then that punch that I camera crew got for you, just a perfect right hand right down the middle, and Solomon was able to not only gobble it up, but had some decent moments in the later part of that 3rd round. This is round 4, the MGM Grand. Mid-afternoon here on the night of Pacquiao and Bradley 3. You're watching us streaming on TopRank.com around the world. Hope you're enjoying it wherever you're watching. I'm the Colonel Bob Sheridan, along with Rich Murata. We've got Christina Poncha working with us throughout the course of the evening.
I love the fact now that in recent years these early portions of the undercards, Colonel, are being televised now and streamed. I guess you used to say that everybody can watch around the world, see the younger fighters on their way up. Think about all those years when you'd see young fighters on the undercards and later become champions. But a lot of people don't ever get a chance to see them. So this has become a valuable tool in the promotion of the sport, the promotion of young fighters on the way up.
Well, you and I have done numerous championship fights years ago that never even made it to air. Some promoters would have 6 or 7 championship fights on a given card. And any one of those championship fights would have sold out a soccer stadium in South America or the Far East. And they're fighting like in the middle of the afternoon here with virtually nobody coming in to see them.
Keep him up.
Nice uppercut by Ponomarev.
Yeah, and you know, it's been Brad Solomon's history. I mean, and his bread and butter is making you miss and then making you pay for that miss. But the problem is he's not been able to make Ponomarev miss enough, or even when he hasn't really come back and made him pay for it. And I think because, you know, Ponomarev has an accurate jab that kind of starts everything off.
Solomon likes to go with that right hand lead occasionally, and it exposes him for the counter right. You're going to go with that right hand lead. You want to make sure you answer. His most effective punch, which is in the stats on him, has been his left hook, but he's only landed it maybe 3 times. And I mean, just in that combination of punches there, Ponomarev led 3 punches with authority, Rich.
And I love the left hook to close off the exchange there and to close off the flurry. It had some power behind it. Ponomarev actually is having an effect on Solomon in this fight. He looks to be wearing him down a little.
Well, now we have a special treat, as Christina Poncha has a great champion with him, and that's Terrence Crawford.
Terrence, you're in the house early, but that's because you're not only a big fight fan, but I hear you making some noise for Brad Solomon here. Is he a friend of yours?
Oh, yeah, we good friends. We go way back from the amateurs.
What have you seen from him so far? I hear you yelling out some direction to him like as if you're in his corner.
Oh, he need to use his jab more. He need to utilize his feints and punch off his feints and stop falling in.
I know, speaking of someone else that you know very well, Timothy Bradley, in our main event, his fight against Manny Pacquiao. What are your thoughts on how the main event's going to go down tonight?
It's going to be an exciting fight. I'm looking forward to him pulling it out. I'm just anxious to see what's going to happen.
Bob Arum's called this a no-Trump undercard. You got Oscar Valdez, you got Gilberto Ramirez, Manny Perez going against Jose Ramirez. Any of those undercard fighters that you're excited to see? Because they could all steal the show tonight. I'm
looking at all of them. It's a great undercard to have on the big show. So I'm just excited to be here. That's why I'm here at the first fight.
I have to imagine that you're here also to handle some business. There's been talk of a fight with you against Postal. Where are we at in negotiations with that fight?
Well, I agreed to it. You know, now the ball's in his hand. When he agreed to it, then we have us a fight.
That's a fight that a lot of the fans are excited to see, and one that you wanted because he has a belt, you want a belt, or you have a belt. So if you can unify them all, that would be a goal for you, right?
That's the first goal. We're just waiting to hear back from Team Postal and see what we can get done.
All right, well, I'm looking forward to that, as I'm sure the fans are. Thank you for joining us, Terrence. Appreciate you. Enjoy the fights tonight.
Thank you.
All right. Colonel?
Thank you once again, Christina, and Terrence Crawford. You'll see plenty of him in action in subsequent months on Top Rank.
In fact, you know, Terrence Crawford, I think he makes a habit of going to other fights. Believe it or not, I was in Reno, Nevada for the U.S. Olympic trials. I was doing a telecast of that, Colonel. And Terrence Crawford was there for 3 or 4 days to support one of his amateur friends.
Wow, he loves the sport.
Who was there. And, you know, we did an interview with Terrence. He loves to be around the sport and loves to support his friends.
Well, Solomon has tried to do a little bit more and sit down on punches in this round. This is a much better, much more action-packed round for both Solomon and Ponomarev, but Ponomarev is still getting a slight advantage. I can't tell if it's an abrasion by the left eye of Ponomarev or is a slight cut, but there's something going on over there. But this has been a harder round than we've seen.
Well, Solomon has got to get active because he's just... Each round, you know, he's competitive each round, Colonel Bob, but he's losing every round because he's not active enough and he's being out-hustled. So he's doing more here, and he's driving Ponomarev back. And this is interesting now because Ponomarev wants to come forward, so we'll see if he can fight going back or if Solomon can impose his will a little bit on him.
And that's the term, Rich, impose his will. But Solomon, I don't know if he's done enough to win the 5th round, but with 20 seconds to go, it's by far his best round of the fight.
Ten seconds.
I think Solomon might have done just enough to steal that round.
I think it's very possible. It was certainly his best round of the fight.
Coming in the second half.
I heard him.
Yeah, you were supposed to go finish it.
Big, deep breath.
Put some water on the leg. Give me a little bit on your stomach. Big. When you hit him like that, step in with your stiff jab, big. You can get him.
Early action in the round. Ponomarev was still pushing Solomon back. And with that, he actually changed to left-handed there just momentarily, and it turned out to be a pretty good move for him. But then Solomon managed, see how he used his elbow there and his arm and his strength to push Ponomarev back and get him off of him. And he did a little bit better in terms of moving him backwards in that round. I think he should be a little encouraged in the corner over his performance in that round, which was certainly better than any of the first 4.
And based on that, I gave him that round, so I have it unofficially 49-46 here after 5 with 5 to go. And his Solomon again in the black trunks with the white trim, trying to start out fast. Ponomarev hanging on to him a little bit. And now Ponomarev doesn't want to give it away. The shoulder being used by Brad.
Watch your head.
And Benji tells him, watch the head, watch the shoulder. Solomon trying to get off first here and land something, but Ponomarev doing a nice job smothering those punches with his gloves that are held high. Nice counter punch.
That's what he needs. That's what Solomon needs to do. Although Ponomarev was able to get his right arm up and be able to block that last shot. Now Ponomarev trying to take back over again, take control of the ring.
And again, the most effective punch that Solomon has had has been his left hook. But he likes to load up the right hand. If he can catch Ponomarev coming in with his left hand down, he'll throw that right. You know, he's in the position now to land it, but Ponomarev throws 3 left hands and backs him off.
This is looking more like the 4th round now, too, when Solomon's starting to look a little worn down.
Keep him up.
Ponomarev picking up the pace. Solomon has always used motion in his fights. He's not quite, he doesn't expend as much energy in terms of his motion as he did earlier in his career. But I always thought it was a lot of nervous energy and motion that he was expending in those fights. And it wasn't necessarily real effective, although can't argue with his record.
No, his record 26-0, but on the other hand, I mean, he hasn't fought anybody of this caliber. This is a round that started out kind of like the 5th round, but Ponomarev has just imposed his will in this round. As I say that, a nice 10-second flurry for Brad Solomon. And Pacquiao, there's no quitting him. He comes right back. Long looping right hand, catches a piece of that left cheek.
Get off the set, man.
I think Solomon had a dream of maybe stealing the round with that late flurry. But Ponomarev really came right back, nullified that. Ponomarev, you just saw that left coming from way back. He throws from some unusual angles himself sometimes.
10 seconds.
Last couple of seconds around number 6, and I think, well, again, Brad had a decent round. Ponomarev probably landed more punches, so I'm going to have to give him that round. Are you in agreement with that, Rich, or do you think with the heavy blows that Solomon landed?
No, I think Ponomarev won the round, and I watched Solomon walk back to his corner, and his legs seemed a little bit heavy. Seemed a little weary to me.
So going to 7, I've got it 59-55 Ponomarev.
Don't give him nothing to gain off. All right, you can't give him nothing to gain off. You catch him. Nothing to gain off.
Quincy Solomon, Aaron Navarro, Mike Zeno working with Brad.
Doesn't matter about here, okay?
Across the way, Constantine, Angel Sanchez, Mendelero.
That right hand a little more because he's looking for the hook now because you're landing.
Solomon seemed a little discouraged to me in his corner as he was taking in those instructions.
Reading the body language, I would agree 100% there. Here we go to round number 7. The Colonel Bob Sheridan with Rich Marotta, Christina Poncher with us. Is our host of the show. And our principals in there, Brad Solomon in the black trunks going with that right hand lead. Konstantin Ponomarev, the Russian fighter.
I hope the fight that Christina and Terrence were talking about in the corner
Watch that shoulder, Brad. Watch that shoulder.
can be made. It's a very intriguing fight. Terrence, I think, is one of the really top fighters in the world today, and he's really still developing, getting better every outing. Opposed all this is a stiff test.
Boy, they love him in Omaha, but they want to have that fight if they can in June in Madison Square Garden in New York. At least that's the plan for Top Rank. And again, Solomon trying to get up first. Nice job by Ponomarev blocking most of the power of that right hand with his left glove.
Get off his head. Watch that shoulder, Brad.
Solomon, I think, getting a little desperate, has resorted in this round to trying to pot shot, but some of the pot shots are just turning out to be wild.
Well, you said it at the end and in between rounds. He looks, that some of the punches and the accumulation of punches now from Ponomarev have caught up a bit. Because you notice that Solomon is back on his heels. He's kind of flat-footed, and Ponomarev is still up on his toes and dancing around with nice movement. And Solomon started with decent movement in the fight, and now, you know, here he is pulling straight back. He stops, he plants his feet, leaning up against the ropes. Ponomarev takes advantage of that.
Ponomarev's all business in there, and he still pays attention to his fundamentals, which I really like, because he still starts everything off with a jab. He's not going crazy in there. The fight obviously swinging in his direction. This is the typical Ponomarev fight, though. I mean, where he just starts, he comes out, he starts jabbing you. And, you know, you eat enough of those jabs and you start getting a little bit drunk.
And as I mentioned, Rich, that punch, his jab is a punch. It's not just a flicking jab because of the technique that he has in throwing it.
10 seconds.
Last few seconds now of the 7th round, another Ponomarev round. And you're right, I think he's just sort of breaking this guy down slowly but surely as the bell ends the 7th. All right, Christina is standing by, and we'll get to her momentarily. All right, Christina, take it away.
We've been asking you so far in our show to join us on social media using the hashtag #PackBradley. That is #PackBradley. Send us your tweets and your posts letting us know what you think is going to happen during the fight, and we will get those tweets on air. But we have a stacked card. We have plenty more action on our undercard before we get to the pay-per-view at 6 p.m. There is still time to buy the pay-per-view, so check with your local cable provider and buy the pay-per-views. We have some tweets coming in now. Here's the first one from @TrueWest. That is, I think it's going to be a real good fight. Thanks, Lewis. Another one here @SAR_CR7_. I can't wait for the fight. I want to see some predictions, you guys. The next time we do this, I want to know who you think is going to win and what round in our main event or as part of our No Trump undercard. So make sure to use that hashtag #PackBradley.
I think it's going to be fun tonight, Colonel. Seeing Pac and Bradley go at it a third time. You know, I think that most people felt that Pacquiao won the first 2 fights, and the second fight was certainly decisive. But the question is, has Bradley gotten a little bid better, and maybe Manny lost a little and kind of evened it all up?
And the age difference and the amount of tough fights. But Bradley's had, nobody has talked about it, but Bradley's had a lot of wars too.
Oh, has he ever? I'm not sure he's going to let himself be dragged into that tonight.
No. No, I mean, we talked to him yesterday afternoon. He was very cerebral in his whole analysis of how he wanted to fight the fight tonight. Meanwhile, we get Ponomarev and Brad Solomon put on a real good show here in our very first fight of TopRank.com as we stream around the world, and hope that you're enjoying it. A few more people coming in. The real aficionados getting their money's worth.
Watch the shots. Come on.
Solomon now, Rich, is kind of, you mentioned a little bit in the last round, but he's doing more pot shotting and of the time. He's resting in great position to throw punches. Benji warns him about hitting him on the back of the head.
Yeah, that's a little known nuance, putting himself in a good position, Colonel, to throw with good leverage punches, and that often ends up being to the body. That's something I think that's kind of overlooked with Ponomarev, is that he really does do good work to the body in almost every round. He will throw some, when he gets in close, throw some real good body shots.
Solomon really not doing too much in this round at all, which was indicative of fatigue and the fact that all these punches that Ponomarev has thrown throughout the course of the, well, we're well into the 8th round now. It's really catching up with this kid. And again, every once in a while, Solomon will come up with a big left hook or right hand.
Yeah, he's actually had some success with right-hand leads, and you just saw another one there. Pономarев, he doesn't pay much attention. Now here he is switching to the left-handed stance. We mentioned earlier that he used to do that incessantly in his earlier fights.
10 seconds.
Trouble is he gets squared up and then he doesn't know whether he wants to throw a left or right hand. But he's back orthodox now and he's effective. Staying right on this guy. And that was an easy round to score for Pономarев. That was the first really, this type of round anybody could score that one.
Again, those single shots are what's hurting us, okay? The judges look at it like big punch. I know you're not hurt, but you gotta get your hands back up. You can't have your hands down here. 2 rounds left.
Abel Sanchez asking Pономarев to get his hands back up, that he's getting hit with some single shots. But here you see the work of Pономarев. He rarely lets up. But he does come in sometimes with his hands down low. I think he gets a little overconfident and his defense gets a little bit reckless.
That's what I'm saying, but when I'm telling you, back up, move. Hey, don't let him catch that. Don't let him steal him with cheap shot.
Brad Solomon looks tired. He's got the chin going down. All signs of fatigue as we move to the 9th round. This is scheduled for 10. First fight of the afternoon here in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Very unusual that Pономarев came out and answered the bell. His first punches were 2 body punches.
Solomon kind of set down in his body punches. He's hanging that left hand down. Pономarев just needs to sneak off that left shoulder now, blind him with a jab, and then throw a powerful right hand. Not quite in position to do it. He's got the idea now. That's what I want to see. Then hands the right hand right there, right behind it.
Solomon trying to muscle Pономarев here.
Yeah, and it's not working for him. He's doing the best he can.
He got in close and trying to push him back, but he needed to throw in there as he was doing it.
Pономarев, hard body shot downstairs. Solomon, when he throws his left hook is hard. Most of the time he's missing now. Earlier in the fight when he would throw it, although kind of sparingly, at least he was landing it then. Now his punches are a little bit wider because of fatigue. And again, the footwork is still very good for Pономarев. Solomon's very heavy in the heels now. Nice solid right hand and another one. Still has to watch out for these winging shots of Solomon, but Pономarев is doing a nice job outboxing him right now. Minute to go in the 9th round of this scheduled 10-round affair for the NABF Welterweight Championship. Pономarев well on his way to certainly defending this title.
One thing I do like about Konstantin is I think he knows he's not a huge puncher, so he doesn't get overexcited if he lands a big one. He always seems to come back to fundamentals and start back in again. He'll go in, he'll land his flurry, but then he'll get back out at long range, start the jabs again, come walking forward and work.
30 seconds to go in round number 9. It's the first time we've seen both hands down, and he pays for it. Some sort of second win here in the closing seconds of the 9th round, but not enough to win the round by any way, shape, or means. The end of the 9th.
It's Pacquiao Bradley Fight Week, and we are here in the sports book checking out the odds for the main event. And
ladies and gentlemen, here
they're pretty close. Right now, it is minus 220 for Manny Pacquiao and plus 175 for Timothy Bradley. So basically, here's how that breaks down. Manny Pacquiao being the favorite, you would have to bet $220 to win 100. For Timothy Bradley, if you bet 100, you would win 175. So as most people thought, it is a close fight, and the odds reflect that.
All right, and I'm sure they'll line up at the sports book here now in Las Vegas. And a lot of people talking now that it's more of an even fight. So you're a betting man, Rich. Would you put a few quid down on Bradley?
Well, I think that's some value there when you consider that he actually really seemed to elevate his game in his last fight against Brandon Rios, and he's got something going, I think, and he's got a great belief in himself going into this fight tonight.
So you people that are in countries around the world where sports betting is legal, in England and certainly in Australia, New Zealand, places like that, Ireland, get out and make a wager. Meanwhile, we're in the 10th round here, the 10th and final round for the NABF Welterweight Championship. The champ is Konstantin Ponomarev, and there's nothing that would make me think he's not going to retain this title from what's been going on. Brad Solomon trying to give the best he can in the last round here to see if he could land something big, but every time he does something well, Pономарев comes right back to negate it. Solomon wanted to get off. He started to load up his right hand, and all of a sudden that jab just got in there. He had to stop.
Keep him up. Come on, man. Let's go. Time out. That's your last one, man. Keep him up. You okay? Time. Give me time. Let me know when
Brad wants a little bit of a rest here.
Yeah, he does.
No
Benji
more, okay?
right on top of it. He says, no more. I'll take a point away.
Stay right here. Let me know when you're ready.
He'd like to get it. You're right, Rich. He'd just like to get some more time to catch his breath here.
Good? All right. Time in. Come on, let's keep it clean, guys.
Pономарев is still a young guy, and I think he knows his limitations as far as power goes. And it's always good to know that and understand that and know what you have to do to win.
Well, he's done it. And meanwhile, Solomon has done the best he can with trying to pot shot this guy whenever he's been able to. But at no time with some of the nice punches that he's landed has he been able to shift this guy. He's got a solid right hand. And you know, Pономarев has probably landed, I would say, 4 of those and another really nice hook there.
Now, I think Solomon's a little hurt here.
Very well may be.
Might have a little bit of an opening.
Well, there's a minute to go, so we'll see how it works out here. And you see the legs are very sloppy, and he moves straight back. Yeah, you're right. He is hurt. Pономarев would love to get a knockout here if he possibly can. He's got 13 knockouts and 29 victories. This would be 30-0. Seconds to go in this fight. Pономarев is just continuing to throw and throw and throw as Solomon falls in.
I tell you, he's got a lot of energy, man. Pономarев, he looks like he could go another 10 rounds, no problem.
Yeah, he does, and Brad is totally fatigued. And he's showing the courage of a professional prize fighter because there's no quitting this guy. A lot of credit to Solomon. And Pономarев championship. I have him winning just about every round in the fight.
Right, as you can see, Pономarев got a little bit nicked up.
I scored at 99-91, and again, Lisa Giappo, Richard Ocasio, and Don Trella are the official judges, but it's easily a victory for Konstantin Ponomarev.
Abel Sanchez getting the gloves off of Pономарев now, and Ponomarev, I think, had dreams there in that last round, and maybe I can finish the show. And he did close very, very strong, drove his adversary back on a couple of occasions in that round, and Brad Solomon did well to finish the round on his feet, never did go down. Although, as you can see, he was eating some clean punches.
What are you talking about? He's a promoter. We're going to promote him back.
Our ring announcer tonight is Lupe Contreras. He'll gather up the score sheets and we'll have it. Pономарев, I had him winning 1 through 4. I gave Solomon the 5th round, and then Pономарев more or less just closed the show out, winning the rest of the rounds. So a nice performance by Konstantin Ponomarev, and a lot of credit to Solomon, as he was really fatigued there in the last couple of rounds, and he was able to hang in there. Okay, Lupe Contreras is standing by, so without further ado, let's get the official particulars. Here's Lupe Contreras.
Ladies and gentlemen, after going 10 rounds here at the MGM Grand Garden Arena, the official scorecard reads as follows. Judge Jampa scores it 98-92 in favor of Ponomarev. Judge Ocasio, 96-94 in favor of Solomon. And Judge Trella scores it 96-94 in favor of the winner by way of split decision. And still an ABF welterweight champion, Konstantin Ponomarev.
I'm a little stunned that Brad Solomon got the Duke on one of the judges' scorecards.
I am as well. And even the 96-94 that Don Trella had it for. The only thing that I can say for the judges is maybe they thought that some of the heavier blows were, they gave him more credit than the big shots.
And there you see the very first big shot that was scored in the fight, that by Konstantin Ponomarev, as he came forward, established control, I thought, of the fight early on, and he was able to score with the numerous right hands, took control of the ring, was able to keep Solomon moving backward most of the fight.
An ABF welterweight champion.
Perhaps just a moment of doubt there from Pономарев, waiting for Lupe Contreras to give him the nod with that official announcement.
Well, Konstantin Ponomarev gets the split decision, and that's why I guess we got to wait for the judges to score low. Lisa Giampa had it almost exactly the way we had it, which I wouldn't be in total agreement with that, obviously. But that's the situation. We've got more action coming up for you. Coming up next, we've got Ilshut Kuznulgatten against Leon Bauer. This is a scheduled 6-rounder. There was supposed to be 8. They reduced it down to 6. Kuznulgatten hails from Russia.